My grandfather broke ground on this land in 1952, pouring his sweat into the soil that would become Harper Ranch. My father expanded it in the 1970s, and now, at 54, it's mine. 80 acres of rolling Oklahoma pasture, a couple of sturdy barns, and the modest two-bedroom house where I grew up learning to mend fences and birth calves. The deed hangs framed in my office, a testament to 3 generations of Harper blood mixed into this earth. For decades, our neighbors were distant farmers, the nearest a half-mile away. But cities spread like wildfire, and 5 years ago, developers bought the 300 acres to our east, turning it into Pineview Heights, a cookie-cutter suburb with overpriced homes and a homeowners association that thinks it rules the world. I watched the bulldozers tear into the land, dust coating my truck every morning, the noise spooking my horses. I said nothing. Live and let live, that's my way. When Pineview Heights was finished, with streets named after trees they'd bulldozed, the HOA sent me a 40-page rulebook. I tossed it into the burn pile. My land predates their neighborhood by 70 years. I'm not under their thumb, and I don't care about their mailbox designs or lawn height rules. Life went on as it always had. I'd rise before dawn, feed the animals, check fences, and handle whatever needed fixing. By noon, I'd break for lunch, then spend afternoons on bookkeeping or working my small cattle herd. The first 6 months with Pineview residents were peaceful. Neighbors waved as they drove by. Some brought their kids to see the horses. I'd hand out carrots for the kids to feed them, their eyes wide with wonder. I thought we could coexist. Then Susan Caldwell moved into the biggest house on my eastern border, a gaudy 2-story with white columns that screamed, out of place in rural Oklahoma. She drove a black SUV with a license plate reading "Chosen." Trouble was coming. Susan didn't introduce herself or bring cookies like others had. Instead, I caught her one afternoon snapping photos of my barn. When I walked over, she barely glanced at me. "Your property's an eyesore," she said. "No hello. I paid for a scenic view, not rusted farm junk." She meant my 20-year-old tractor and hay bales. "This is a working ranch, ma'am," I said calmly. "It was here before your house." Her voice sharpened. "The HOA sets standards for everyone. You're dragging down our property values." I told her my land wasn't part of Pineview. She stared like I'd spoken gibberish. "Everyone here follows our rules," she snapped. 2 days later, a letter from the Pineview HOA arrived, citing violations of their aesthetic guidelines. They wanted my equipment hidden and my livestock moved. I sent back a polite note with copies of my deed, explaining I wasn't under their jurisdiction. I thought that had ended. I was wrong. More letters came, each nastier than the last. The third, signed by Susan Caldwell, HOA enforcement chair, threatened legal action. I ignored them, too busy with real work. But Susan made it her mission. One morning, I spotted her at my fence line, measuring tape in hand, designer boots spotless in the Oklahoma dust. She claimed my fence was on HOA land. I told her to check the county records and leave, or I'd call the sheriff. She left, glaring. I verified my boundaries with the county. They were fine, some even set back from the line. Then came HOA security inspecting my gate, followed by a county code officer responding to Susan's complaints about unsanitary conditions. He found nothing wrong and apologized. "Folks move to the country but hate country things," he said, chuckling. The harassment escalated. My mailbox was smashed, trash was tossed over my fence, and Pineview residents started slowing down to gawk or honk, spooking my horses. A neighbor warned me Susan was circulating a petition, claiming my animals were diseased and tanking property values. I started documenting everything: photos, letters, a log of incidents. Then came the breaking point. One morning, animal control and 2 sheriff's deputies arrived, responding to Susan's report of animal neglect and illegal disposal of livestock remains. The remains were old leather tacked behind my barn. The animals were healthy. The officers apologized, but as they left, I saw Susan's SUV crawl by, watching. That was it. I spent $2,000 on motion-activated cameras and solar lights, setting them up around my property. The next night, my phone buzz cameras caught Susan tossing kitchen scraps into my cattle pasture. Over a week, I recorded her throwing trash, rattling my horse fence to scare them, and 2 HOA goons snooping at night. I took the footage to Deputy Larson, who issued Susan a warning for trespassing and animal harassment. She denied it until he showed her the videos, then claimed she was protecting the community. Her behavior only worsened. She confronted my wife, Emily, in our driveway, screaming about our disgusting farm and her connections to the mayor. Emily was shaken, and the cameras caught it all. That crossed a line. With Deputy Larson's help, we filed for a restraining order, backed by the footage. Word spread in Pineview, and residents started questioning Susan's iron grip on the HOA. At a heated meeting, board members admitted she'd acted without approval. Her social media campaign against me, posting distorted photos of my ranch, only fueled the fire. The climax came when I invited a county animal welfare officer, Rachel Moore, for a routine check. Susan, ignoring the restraining order, stormed to my fence, yelling about fake inspections and threatening Rachel's job. A neighbor, Laura Evans, recorded the meltdown. Laura posted it online, and it went viral, thousands of views, picked up by news outlets. Headlines like, HOA tyrant rages at county worker, buried Susan. The HOA board, facing legal bills and public backlash, voted her out. Her house went up for sale, but buyers shied away after Googling her address. Peace returned. I rebuilt my mailbox, repainted fences, and fixed Emily's garden. The animals relaxed, grazing close to the fence again. Pineview's new HOA leadership apologized, and I spoke at a county meeting about protecting farms from overzealous developments. Pineview residents started visiting, curious about ranch life. I hosted an open house. Kids petted horses, adults learned about farming. It was what should have happened from the start. A year later, Susan knocked on my door, her usual polish gone. She was moving to Arizona and admitted she'd been wrong, caught up in her vision of a perfect community. I wished her well and closed the door. No anger, no triumph, just relief. That evening, I walked my fence line, the same path my father and grandfather walked. Beyond it, Pineview's lights glowed as families settled in. Boundaries aren't about exclusion, they're about protecting what matters. My ranch, my heritage, my way of life, theory worth fighting for. What do you think about this story? Have you faced injustice or bullying in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Susan got what she deserved, or should she have been given more leniency? Let's discuss the line between standing up for your rights and escalating conflict.